Good afternoon, Western Washington, and happy Wednesday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather, and we've got a lot to talk about today as we have these continued thunderstorm and shower chances here over the next few days, including a somewhat uncertain thunderstorm event coming up on Saturday. There will be thunderstorms, just where across the Northwest is the question. And also, we are looking at a return of some heat going into Thursday and Friday, so we'll look at that as well. Starting here with the satellite imagery, you can see the reason temperatures are going to be a lot cooler today across western Washington. Look at these clouds. It is mostly sunny there from about Whidbey Island northward, but then from there south, you got a lot of clouds, and it's sunny around Portland. Some of these clouds are starting to move north, and we may get some clearing across parts of western Washington through the afternoon, but likely we're going to be mostly cloudy for most areas from Everett down toward Centralia or so. So taking a look at the radar as well, you can see that there are some showers in those areas of clouds, but not very much precipitation is actually reaching the ground here. You can also see the spin of a little bit of an upper level low we got going on right here. See how it's all kind of rotating around here. You can see even though some of this looks heavy on radar here across parts of the Central Cascades, the southern Central Cascades there, not very much is reaching the ground. I had a little shower move over my house in Federal Way here early this morning, and it looked like something on radar, and it only brought a few raindrops. So this is kind of the danger, is that some of these could be dry thunderstorms that could be causing new fires. So in the same vein there, we have a red flag warning that is in effect for the Olympics and for the entirety of the Washington Cascades, and we can click on that here. That is in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. That's in effect due to thunderstorms being favored along the eastern slopes of the Olympics and in the Cascades from this afternoon and evening into Thursday and Thursday night. Some brief heavy rain or isolated wetting rains are capable of occurring with these storms, but lightning strikes on very dry fuel are capable of new fire starts, plus outflow winds of 25 to 35 miles per hour there, and those are erratic winds that can blow in all directions and stuff like that is what's mentioned here, and dry lightning and stuff can cause a lot of new fires, and that is what we see here from the Storm Prediction Center. All this area outlined into the brown here is a dry thunderstorm risk that includes the Olympics and the Cascades, and then all the way east towards Spokane and the Idaho Panhandle and extreme western Montana there. So this is definitely a threat for the Cascades and Olympics today, and then tomorrow you can see the central and northern Cascades have that threat of dry thunderstorms as well, and these can really start a lot of fires, so it's something we have to watch very closely. So you can see here on the European model, we're looking at our overall pattern, and this is that little low that we were seeing on the radar causing that spin. That is going to just kind of diminish here as we go through the next couple days, still providing some potential showers here through tomorrow into Friday, but then it through tomorrow night. By the time we get to Friday, we calm down a little bit and we warm up again, but then we have this upper level low offshore. That is moving toward the area, and you can see on Saturday here, this low is right offshore of like the Washington-Oregon border. It's a little bit too far north for some of those big thunderstorm events that start in Oregon and move straight up through western Washington and up towards southwest British Columbia. Instead, this is showing potentially storms starting out on the Olympic Peninsula and then moving north, maybe Seattle northward, getting potential thunderstorms in this scenario. You see this low kind of move inland here as we go toward Sunday, kind of sits right here off Washington and British Columbia and then diminishes and pushes offshore. Ridge builds back in right after Labor Day weekend, and we may get another round of pretty warm temperatures here going into the beginning of September, so that's something we have to watch as well. Taking a look at high temperatures today, you can see with all that cloud cover, likely getting in the upper 70s to low 80s for most of western Washington, down toward Portland where there's a little bit more sun up into the mid 80s, and it's pretty muggy out there as well, so it may feel a little bit warmer than these temperatures. You can see on the coast, highs in the mid 60s to low 70s. Not super warm there, especially for the southern coast with some of those clouds there. But as we go into Thursday here, we warm up a little bit more with a little bit less clouds, although these temperatures may be a little bit too warm. We may not get to these levels, but you can see from Seattle northward, highs in the upper 70s to mid 80s. Seattle southward, mid 80s most likely. Some areas near the water still in the low 80s. Olympia down to Portland, highs in the upper 80s to low 90s. We may not get this warm, but this is the higher end of potential temperatures, especially if we don't have very many clouds. You can see the coast in the upper 60s to low 70s again. Friday, though, it's likely going to be mostly sunny as we have a bit of a break between the systems. And you can see from Seattle northward on Friday, highs in the upper 70s to mid 80s. But look at Seattle southward, back in the mid to upper 80s for most areas. You can see 87 in Seattle, 88 in Tacoma, 87 in Olympia. And then from Olympia southward to Portland, highs in the upper 80s to low 90s. So we're just going to warm back up there as we go on to Friday there. The coast likely in the upper 60s to low 70s there on Friday. Then going into Saturday with those potential thunderstorms across the region, highs drop to the mid 70s to low 80s, and the coast in the upper 60s to low 70s. And we see the same thing a little bit cooler there on Sunday, low to mid 70s, upper 70s from Seattle southward toward Portland, and then the coast in the upper 60s to low 70s. And we may start to warm back up there as we go into Labor Day and into the beginning of September there. So stay tuned for more on that. Taking a look at low temperatures, Thursday morning still in the mid-60s for most of Seattle and Portland, but some areas cooling down to the low 60s here. And then we go into Friday morning, mid-60s for Seattle there, but the rest of the area in the upper 50s to low 60s. So we are generally cooling down. And by the time we get to Saturday morning, you can see lows across the area in the mid-50s to low 60s, so we will be getting back to more seasonable low temperatures after this heat wave here. Now taking a look at those thunderstorms. So this is the European model looking at lightning flash density. This is this afternoon. You can see potential for storms along the North Cascades and the Olympics, just like we were seeing in that red flag warning. Those continue into tonight with down especially southern Cascades. We have had some new fire starts in that area. Then as we go into Thursday morning, you can see potential for some of these storms getting a little bit closer to the lowlands on Thursday morning, especially right here by the Olympics as we go into the afternoon. You can see those storms in the central Cascades as well, parts of eastern Washington going into the evening. And then as we go into Friday, you can see along the Cascades is where some of the storms may be, but otherwise mostly sunny across the metro area. That's allowing us to get those warmer temperatures there on Friday. But then take a look at Saturday with that upper level low right offshore. You see as we go into the morning, some storms start on the Olympic Peninsula, getting pretty strong at times, moving north, and then they push up toward Vancouver Island. You get a lot of storms developing in the Cascades in the afternoon, and then some storms start to leak into the lowlands here as we go toward 5 p.m., and then some strong storms moving up north from Seattle toward places like Whidbey Island, Camano Island, Skagit, and Snohomish counties, and then pushing up into, look at some of the Sunshine Coast and Strait of Georgia there in British Columbia. Big thunderstorm potential up there, and then these storms as we go toward 8 to 11 p.m. start to push into southwest BC, including the San Juans there first and Victoria, BC, and then up toward Vancouver in northwest Whatcom County there as well. But there is a lot of uncertainty. The models have been kind of flip-flopping with some of these storms in terms of the location, although we've been trending a little bit north, so we have to watch very closely. I would say right now areas from Seattle northward are most likely to see thunderstorms in western Washington on Saturday. Taking a look at the high-resolution rapid refresh model, this forecast hasn't been doing great in terms of where the thunderstorms are, but it has picked up a few things. So you can see it showed some potential showers this afternoon across parts of Seattle. That doesn't really seem to be occurring with the showers further to the south. However, it shows a few storms in the Cascades, and then potential for some storms moving through the metro area as we go early Thursday morning here, 3 to 6 a.m. there. But that is, again, a pretty low chance. It may happen, but if so, they'll be weak and quick. You can see the same thing to the north there toward the Canadian border as we go toward Thursday afternoon. But you can see this doesn't pick up any of these high-based dry thunderstorms potentially on Thursday. So take some of this forecast with a grain of salt here. It starts to show a little bit more in the Olympics as we go into Thursday evening. But a better forecast here has been the RRFS model here. We haven't used this one too much on the channel, but you can see how it shows as we go into this afternoon, some of these storms to the south of the metro area here between Seattle and Portland starting to show some developing in the North Cascades this afternoon, and then you can see some of these showers moving into western Washington late tonight into tomorrow morning, especially north of Everett there. And then you see the spin with that low we were talking about here, and it starts to spin some things back in as we go into Thursday afternoon. Then we get a little bit more in terms of thunderstorms in the North Cascades Thursday, and then as we go into Friday, you can see not all that much happening in terms of activity with thunderstorms, some across Oregon. Some of that moves into western Washington and the Cascades as we go in, or mainly the Cascades and slightly eastward as we go into Friday night. But then you can see as we go into Saturday, that upper level low offshore starting to have those thunderstorms develop up the Olympic Peninsula by 7 to 8 a.m. By 9 to 10 a.m. here you can see this line of storms developing from the Strait of Juan de Fuca over toward the Central Olympics. They're starting to push northward, and that's where this forecast ends. So we have to watch very closely over the next couple of days to see if the models kind of come into a little bit more agreement. We can look at the NAM model as well to see where it shows the showers, and it shows some showers moving into the Puget Sound area, especially from Olympia up towards Seattle this evening, and then a little bit more as we go overnight. But the problem is we don't really know how much of this is actually going to be rain that's falling or just rain that is not making it to the ground because of how moist the upper levels are, but dry we are at the surface. But nevertheless, we may have some showers moving through the area as we go into Thursday morning. You can see those continuing on the NAM model all the way through Thursday afternoon in some places. And then it starts to move out of the area as we go into Friday, which is again going to be that drier day for the lowlands and a little bit warmer as well. So taking a look here at the Watch Duty app, you can see the Bear Gulch fire here up to 8,960 acres, almost 9,000. And then take a look at some of these new fires. We have the Hungry fire there between Mount Adams and Mount St. Helens. There was a severe thunderstorm here yesterday. The Wildcat fire, and then right next to it is the Swamp Creek fire, Swamp Lake fire there. That is just to the east of Stevens Pass. And there was a thunderstorm there a couple days ago and yesterday. The Mosquito fire near Goat Rocks. And then up here we have a couple new fires. The Martin fire, got a new one right here, and then a new one up here, the Thunder fire, and these are all in the North Cascades. There looks like that Martin fire there near Glacier Peak has already burned 30 acres. So yeah, you can see what happens when we get some thunderstorms, that you do start to get those fire starts pretty easily. And again, this is the Watch Duty app, a great and website, great place to go for updates about fires, so definitely check that out. Now I want to take a look at smoke. You can see, although you can't tell that much today with some of the clouds across western Washington, there's a lot of smoke aloft. And as we go through the day today, some of these smoke plumes off the Bear Gulch fire, the fires near Mount Rainier, they're going to add to some of that smoke aloft. It continues all the way through Thursday morning. You can see as we go through the day Thursday, it starts to lighten up a little bit. And as we go into Thursday night, those southerly winds kick in and push some of this smoke aloft out of the area. Much, much lighter concentrations of it as we go into Friday morning. And then you can see the same thing with smoke at the surface here. Not all that much right now, but as we go through tonight, you get some of that smoke off the Bear Gulch fire kind of hanging out across the area. Clears out a little bit early Thursday morning, but then moves back in a bit as we go through the day Thursday. Not super significant concentrations, but you may smell some wildfire smoke at times. But as we go into Thursday night and then into Friday morning, it does start to clear out just a little bit there, so that is good news. And then taking a look at our current air quality across western Washington, as we get this to load here, we are not doing too bad. You can see some areas closer to the mountains and a little bit higher elevations do have some moderate air quality. Not looking too great across eastern Washington with some smoke floating around, but most areas are not doing too bad across western Washington right now, including Tacoma and Seattle in the good category. But you can see that there is still definitely some stagnant air across the area, and that will continue over the next few days here. So yeah, thank you guys all very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe here to Western Washington Weather. The channel is almost to 1,400 subscribers. I would love to reach that very soon, so be sure to subscribe, comment, like, share, all those things. And also be sure to follow me on Blue Sky, Twitter, and the Western Washington Weather Facebook group to get all the updates about the thunderstorms and any other weather coming up here over the next few days. So thank you all very much for watching, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.